Yo, what's up? Yeah, this is for the players. This is for the team. Everybody ready? Let's go. It's Friday, go and play. Cash prize, go and play. Dope is ready, go and play. Wanna get hooked, go and play. I wanna win trophies like I said. Lose, and I cannot forget. If I cannot finesse, smash the controller. We play as a team, we believe in skill. Now, this is the dream. I wanna get my name on the wall. Yeah, you better tell me. I wanna play FIFA. Yeah, get bait with a beef. I wanna go out with a bang. Get ready for the crunch, tackle the meat. So where you gonna go? PGS. Where you gonna play? PGS. Who you gonna tell? PGS. 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 Where you gonna go? PGS. Where you gonna play? PGS. Who you gonna tell? PGS. Yes, yes, PGS. Yes, PGS. See, PGS. We, PGS. Yeah, PGS. She, PGS. Arigato, PGS. Spasiva, PGS. Ma farsi mi con in PGS.
Welcome to the official PGS Podcast on another Sunday. Yet again, welcome everyone. Really pleased to see you all. You will see on your screens we have a special guest with us this week. But before we get into her, Cozy, how you doing, mate? You all right? Not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. It's nice and bright today, isn't it? the lights. Right, so I want to welcome everyone back to another edition of the PGS Podcast with your boy Isaac. That's my full name. I've never actually called my full name out, but it's Isaac as opposed to Zach. Everyone knows me by. And you've got Cozy. We have Lisa Manley with us as well. Lisa, how you do?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Not too bad. Very, very good to have you on board. Lisa is the she's signed to the PGS as a professional player. She's also, congratulations to her, most recent winner of the SHESPORTS Cup tournament. How did that actually go, Lisa? What was the whole, because that cup, it's a very, I've tried to do some research on it. I couldn't really find much about it. So how did that whole scenario come about?
Yeah, it was basically an event that Rachel Stringer put together to sort of get more women out there, give them opportunities. Okay. So I think I've competed in all of them bar one because I was on holiday at the time. So I was there sort of as a guest speaking, but my internet was terrible because I was away. So, but I tried my best at least. And yeah, so I think every time I've done one, I've sort of got to at least a sort of semi-final, final. But this time, obviously, I went a step further and obviously won it, which was kind of a relief, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was a good tournament. It was sort of weird, really, because the format, it was sort of like there was 4 girls or women, whatever. And we basically, there was 3 days. So on the first day, it was sort of if you get to the final and win, you sort of book your spot in the final, which I was able to do on the first day, which means the next day was sort of chill day, playing everyone, but I didn't really need to make it to the final because I was already in the final. Sure. So I was sort of just playing for fun and have a relief, really, of even if I lose, it doesn't really matter. So obviously I didn't see the point of getting to the final again because I already booked my spot. So I allowed one of the 2 other girls to do that, and obviously Heather won. So it was me versus her in the final, but it was sort of a weird sort of format in the final. It was 7 legs, like the best of 7 instead of 3. So it was really long. But fortunately, I was able to win 4, draw 1, lose 1. So I obviously won it. So it was great. Obviously, I recently tweeted out that I won that as well. It did take a few days to tweet it, but it was all for fun. It was all for, trying to show that women can do it as well. So I think it was
absolutely good. Absolutely. Well, listen, thanks. You actually went into a bit more than I thought you would, but thank you very much. It's good. Before you actually tell us a bit more about that, I think we have done quite a few of these shows where we're looking at more women in esports. Predominantly, obviously, we know that there's women in football. That with the recent resurgence of the England team winning the Euros. But I think in the past, and this fits in line with our Women Esports series. In the past, we've had issues, or I would say hesitancy, with getting a lot more women on the podcast to talk about why there was a massive underrepresentation of that. But before we go into all that, Cozy would like to sort of rehash on our show last week. I think we had a bit of a mix mash of stuff going on. We are trying to bring in this new thing whereby we bring in all the updates of the leagues, the results, etc. So, Cozy, a little bit about last week. So we had Billy on, didn't we? We had Condem on. Yes. We had Billy in the chats. Indeed. Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to move to the Thursday show, which for some people it's more convenient. I'm not mentioning any names, but no, we interviewed Condem because obviously we were looking at the new owner of the England server, and he was talking to us a little bit about what he's going to bring in that's new, as opposed to the previous the person that had it before, which was Strainer. It was actually good getting him on because he dispelled a few myths. A couple of rumors were flying around that he was able to kind of put us right on. So that was good. We touched upon some mental health, support as well. We had a few people in the chats. Better Guy, we had Remy on talking about that, which was really cool. And then which led us back to our main conversation topic for debate, women in esports. So Lisa, listen, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Professional female gamer. So that's really cool. I was reading some excerpts earlier. And I know it's a bit of banter, but it does lead into severity as well. I was reading where you were talking about beating guys willy-nilly, and then potentially that's where the hate comes in. Now, I've got to say, right, so I play foot myself, and I don't mind admitting it, I've been banned a couple of times for retaliating. I think this is before they brought in the new scenario where you just can't message someone randomly anymore. But the last FIFA, there's this to and going. Now, with yourself being a female and being a very good one at that, is this something that you found was quite popular, or is this something that you just found that just happened willy-nilly across board, but just because you're a female and you were good at playing the game itself?
Yeah, I think it happens sort of when you play in general. They see your name. Obviously, mine's PGS_Lisa, so they see that your name is a female name, and as soon as you beat them, they sort of give you hate. Obviously, don't know how much I can say, but sort of just get in the kitchen, make some food, and just general hate towards women. I don't know. I won't say some of the stuff because it might have to get bleeped, but yeah, it's very very rude. And that sort of happens also, even like with making TikToks and being on Twitch as well. You get that sort of hate, and that's why there's sort of not many females that want to play this game, because for them, if they're not earning money from it, or they're not enjoying it enough. For them, why are they going to play the game to just get hate? They might as well just go play, Fortnite, whatever it may be, COD, because they're not going to get that. So I think that's why there's not that many. But I think, like you mentioned, with the Euros and women doing really well and obviously winning it, that sort of came to sort of FIFA, because that's the next best thing. If you're not playing football in real life, when you go home, you get on the computer and you play FIFA. Yeah,
absolutely. No, do you know, that's a very good point. I think one of the reasons why I talk about the Euros is because I thought that would, inspire or spur on a lot more females, girls, women, to come up and talk a bit more. I think last year, I remember when we did it as a series, as an event, I think we did a few shows on it. I felt like I'd really had to grind to get some females on board to talk about this. Now, I do understand a lot of them wanted anonymity. Maybe some of them didn't really want to go through the rigmarole and the experience or the bad experience that they had. But we see people like yourself, so you are signed to the PGS. You've been signed to other teams before, other famous footballers. I know, was it Fuchs that plays for Leicester? You played for his team. I mean, talk to me a little bit about how these guys got noticed you, and the journey at which you felt, actually, you know what, I'm going to take this to be a bit more of a bit more seriously because I'm good at it. Considering you don't have much role models to look up to within this particular genre and region of sport.
Yeah, obviously the first club, like you mentioned, that I joined was NFG, No Fucks Given, which is obviously Fuchs' team. When I first joined him, I was only getting 11 wins in foot champs. He just actually wanted to sign the female to sort of start building female in the scene. So I joined him, and sort of from there it went on and on and on, because I was able to play against the pros within the team, which got me better at the game. Even if I was getting smoked, let's say 4 or 5-0, the more times I played them, the better I got. They also had a really good coach there, which would I'd send them a game that I played, and he'd tell me, listen, you need to do this better, you need to do that better. Most of the time it was sort of, not drag your centre backs out of position, try and use the wing more, and stuff like that, which got me a lot better at the game. And from there on, obviously, was able to just get better and better and better. And obviously at that time, I actually got my knee injury, and I was able to put more time into the game, which also got me better. And from there on, obviously, I joined J-Lings Esports, and now I've obviously joined PGS. So I think that sort of helped me a lot. At a stage, I didn't think I was actually that good at the game, and I wasn't. I was only getting 11 wins, but within, I think, 4 months of joining that org, I was getting 24 wins in foot champs when it was 30 games. So just getting the help from a coach, from players that are better than you, it really does help.
Nice. And also, you obviously gain confidence, and I always have to say, it's not the same when you're a man, playing FIFA as you're a female, because I do appreciate the pressures. If you're bad, you get reminded that you're bad. So the fact that you had all that help, it's actually really cool to see and to hear. considering that there is this potential or this slight issue, in my opinion, because there is still an issue. You know, we see it all the time. I mean, you know, Cozy will tell you we signed a few female players. You know, obviously some are still there, some have moved on. I mean, in your experience, do you believe that we will get to a point where, and I always say it's a utopian world where we have an equality barrier, an equality scenario within esports, whereby, for instance, you can be playing, you can join our team, and you can have another 3 females, or it wouldn't even be a thing that you're female. You're just a good FIFA player. Do you think we're going to get to that point, or do you think there's still a lot of work to do to get to that point?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of work to go on to sort of get more females into the game, and also signed to organisations. But obviously, I think it is growing, sort of like, you know, the Euros and women in general in football. So I think that's also still growing. But I think in terms of FIFA and gaming in general, I think it's definitely something that needs to be pushed maybe by more of other orgs, you know, signing more females, because I also think it helps as well, like getting on board with like EA and stuff like that, because, you know, if you're being seen, you know, if they're doing like female only events, for example, if you're being seen on the main stage and stuff, people are going to think, well, we want her because we can get a representation.
Exactly.
I think that just needs to be more of a thing where, you know, there's more tournaments that you can get involved in, so you can showcase how good you really are, and that's what helps you, getting teams behind you that either will spend FIFA points, give you money to help you be able to play the game for more time. Because if you're someone that's part-time in the industry, which most females are, no females basically full-time, so they can't put the time in that they can that the males put in. And you got to think, to get better at something, you need to put the time in.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. And you know what, you should definitely be one of our coaches for our club. A lot more players definitely need to hear that advice. Okay, so Lisa, I want to get down to nitty-gritty then, because you know we don't have celebs like you on the podcast often, right? So the fact that you obviously got to this level, would you say that you're an ambassador now for women in esports? Purely because of, I mean, you talk about being in touch with the likes of EA, just being out there like that. What would you say to those who are saying that there is still an underrepresentation and there's inequality, but don't want to come out and talk about it or showcase their talents, etc.?
I think for a female, it is hard to sort of show how good they are. I think, like I mentioned, the platforms and stuff like that, and it's hard to sort of get in the doors at these type of things. In terms of like the ambassador sort of question, I don't know. I feel like I'd like to be. For myself, I'd like to be, because I don't really think there is a role model in the scene for females anyway. You know, for the male scene, you've got Tex. You know, he came out of nowhere. You know, young lads won back-to-back tournaments, and now everyone wants to be Tex because they think, I'm this age, I want to be able to do this. But I think for females, there isn't really anyone that has sort of made it to big events and can say I'm one of the best. So I think once we get to that stage, you know, at the moment there's Fabienne, who has qualified for FGS events, which is the same as what the men do. So I think in a way that she'd probably be up there for that. But I'd like to say that hopefully one day I will be, if I'm not already.
Good. And hopefully you come back and talk to us when you've gotten that title. Right, Cozy. I think that was a very good point Lisa made. And I'm so glad that point was made, because this is a point, it doesn't have the same ring to it coming from a man. But, you know, I think if there's, you know, if you want to showcase something that's quite popular at the moment, and it's becoming a lot more popular, but needs a bit more representation, surely we need an ambassador to come out and talk about that, right, Cozy?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Lisa, having you on the show is absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much for joining us today. As Zach said, the last show we did, a couple of shows last year we did, women in esports and equality is a huge thing that we talk about. I guess I got a couple of questions around it. Is that I know that you're quite a big figure in the scene, and you're entering a lot of tournaments that are female only. But how does it feel entering a tournament that's mixed?
I think in terms of mix, I think it's basically the same as doing female only, especially if it's like a big event, sort of like I did EPREM recently, then you don't really get hate if you win. I think everyone sort of respects each other. But if you're just doing a random tournament, that's where sort of the hate comes in, like you're shit, you're this, you're that. But obviously I did EPREM recently, and I ended up getting I got top 3 actually in that tournament. Sort of the step further than what I did the last few years. Previous it was top 8 for United and Palace as well. So this year obviously I got top 3, which was a step. It was close to sort of obviously representing Fulham, but same stage it was sort of a really good feeling being able to be one of the first females to get top 3. Yeah,
it's brilliant, and congratulations on that. Your season's going from strength to strength. You obviously signed for PGS start of the season. And then, you know, a couple of months in, you nearly got there. You nearly got to the Premier League, and that would have been a huge achievement. And I'm sure we can see you go for that again next year.
Yeah, I'll definitely go for it again. Don't know what club. Obviously, I've sort of gone around, I guess you could say the block in terms of different teams. But maybe I'll try and run it back with Fulham if they're still in the Prem, which, I mean, they're like, what, top 6 at the moment, so I assume they will be.
Well, that's like saying, hoping Bournemouth stay in the Premier League, isn't it? We don't really know. Being a Bournemouth fan, I can say that. Wow. So, I mean, it really is amazing to have you on. But could you tell the viewers a bit about your journey? Obviously, you were signed as a professional footballer to Fulham Ladies, weren't you?
Yeah, I was signed to Fulham, I think, about 2018 or something like that. I was there for a few years. Prior to that, I was with AFC Wimbledon, but I ended up getting a knee injury and sort of basically stopped playing. I do now play for my local side, but obviously it's nowhere near the same level. But yeah, I obviously got injured then, and at the time I actually was signed to Fuchs's team as a pro as well, but obviously I wasn't able to put in as much time commitment to playing FIFA as much as I do now. For example, you know, then it might have been like 2 hours a day. Now it's, you know, 5-6 hours a day. So it's a lot different in terms of the time putting in. But now obviously I'm seeing that time helping me so much into the game, you know, getting better as well. So I think it's definitely helped me. But yeah, from going from obviously playing football a lot to not as much, but I'm obviously enjoying playing FIFA a lot.
Yeah, and obviously you do play the occasional bit of Fortnite as well. I've seen you place well in cash cups and stuff, so it's great. I think you're a real role model for people. Like you've struggled because you've got injured in what you love doing, and then you found something else. It hands down to you. So yeah, bad to you.
No, I've got to definitely have to. No, I have to say the same thing. I think for me, it's refreshing that you're speaking so boldly about, you know, this issue, because it is an issue, really, the equality scenario. Not just in real life, but also in the esports world. It seems. What's to come? What is the next thing? So now we're talking about ambassadorial roles potentially. Is it something? Have you done any talks in the past about this issue? If you have, talk to us a little bit about those talks and how much and how many more of those are you looking to do going forwards?
Yeah, I done an interview for BT Sports about the sort of situation, and also BBC. So they sort of went out, and that was sort of just about the hate that you get being a woman in the industry. And I mean, it is bad, to be fair, the sort of hate that you get, but I guess the men get it as well, but they don't get the sexism side of it. You know, we sort of consistently, all the time, just get, you know, get in the kitchen, you're a woman, or woman, whatever. So it's quite hateful, but it's sort of a thing that you have to just get used to now. You just expect it, and you shouldn't be like that, but it is.
It shouldn't be like that. I know. For instance, the PlayStation have obviously brought in new sort of security scenarios to prevent things like that. But you can't really stop someone if they want to add you and message you stupidity. Something you can't really stop. But I do understand what you're saying. I think for me, it's quite fascinating how, and I use that word loosely, how, you know, the abuse is, you know, it's as soon as they know what type, even if you're black, you know, if you're culturally not the norm, so to speak, as soon as they log onto that, it's abuse of all sorts, and I find that quite worrying over potentially a game. So one of the things I'd like to know is, you know, how do you move past these things, and how do you keep the consistency going from the mental side of things? Because obviously that does, I mean, if you're down, you're down. And how do you maintain your confidence with all these issues, you know, staring at you in your face?
And by the way, I'm dying, by the way. I'm quite ill, so yeah, if you see me looking a bit thingy, that's why.
That's
but
no
yeah,
problem.
I think, to be honest with you, I think it's tough. I think, you know, there's been certain stages where I've got, you know, death threats and stuff, and people wanting my family to die and stuff like that. So I think for me, I always just speak to my dad about it, and he's just like, you know, ignore it. They're just doing it because they're jealous of you, and that's something that I always use in my head when that happens.
Fair enough. No, I totally feel that. Listen, I know that you're not well, which is probably why we're a lot more grateful that you're on. So
yeah, my eyes watering, but yeah, I'm not crying. Don't worry.
So my final point is, or my final thing would be, is where can we see you next?
Hopefully I can obviously, you know, do some more events for EA. You know, commentating, or just doing female only tournaments. Obviously, hopefully PGS do one soon. Maybe ECL do one as well. Yeah. And then just whatever competitions even pop up.
Absolutely. I mean, I do hear the grapevine that there's something happening with the PGS. I mean, I can't say much. If I want to keep my job.
Oh, come on, announce it. Announce
all right,
it.
I can't say much. Sorry,
you've bent our arms. On the 3rd of March, we are running our next female-only cup. So that'll be the all-female cup is the 3rd of March.
He's announced it. He's announced it.
He's announced it 3rd of March. Here we go. Not long to go. Well, Lisa, listen. Once again, I think Cozy took the words right out of my mouth. We appreciate you. We thank you very much for coming on. Congratulations. And I want to get that autograph in the post as well. I'll send you my address later. But hopefully we can speak to you soon about some more of your talks that you're doing and obviously more tournaments that you're winning as well. And good luck to you going forward.
Don't jinx me. Don't jinx me.
Just before we let you go, just got Falcon's Mike in the chat, and he's talking about his struggles and frustration with FIFA. When he loses a game, he gets quite frustrated and he's wanted to quit. Have you got any advice for Mike on how to just chill out when you're gaming and just let losses go?
Yeah, I think like when I was obviously joined to NFG for my first organisation, you know, the thing that they said to do is when you lose a game of foot champs or, you know, rivals, whatever it might be, just, you know, take a break, whether that be, I don't know, go toilet, go have some food, have a drink, and then come back refreshed. Because it happens to me as well, you know, when you've just lost the most rigged game, you know, sometimes you do get a bit rigged. When that happens, you know, if you go into another game straight away afterwards, you'll be making really bad decisions. You'll be diving in when you shouldn't be. So if you just take a break, 15-minute break, come back, and it should help you with your game, and then you end up getting on a win streak. Because when you're losing, you know, in your head, you know, you always blame the game. You know, when you start blaming the game, that's when you know you should stop. Because don't get me wrong, there is some stages where, you know, it is sort of the game's fault. You know, you might go try for a challenge and it bounces off your player and it bounces back to them, but most of the time it would be your fault. So I think just take a break, don't let the game get to you too much, and come back and have a fresh mind, and that's where you end up playing better FIFA.
It's good advice. Very good advice.
Much.
And it's free, right?
Helps.
Is that free? Free advice.
That's
Wow.
free advice. Next one's gonna
Okay,
cost.
you heard it here first. There's your free advice.
Nice one, Lisa. We'll talk to you about the pro club's contract in a minute, yeah?
I know. I need to get on. It can carry you guys. I'm back
Well, I heard we got some trialists, so here we
Oh
go.
my God! Get off the screen.
Oh dear.
Nice one, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank
Take it
you
easy.
very much. See you later, Lisa.
Get well
Take
soon
care.
as well.
Hopefully.
Take it easy.
Wow. What
Oh.
a show.
Well, so I think it was good to get Lisa on, and it's good to get her points and her views on the fact that there is, you know, underrepresentation esports for women, and also it was refreshing to hear her say that the best thing to do to, you know, alleviate these masses is come on and talk about, you know, the journey, especially if you are somebody who's very good at the game as well. And I'm not just talking about FIFA, I'm talking about any esports games, because this is a generic thing, you know, all round really. Yeah. So it's really good to have Lisa on. Like I said, I always keep saying it. Obviously, within the club that I play for, you know, we do have, and we have had female ballers in the server before. And if you do have one, and they're very good, then please motivate them, because, you know, yeah, I mean, there's no because. Just do it.
Absolutely.
There's no reason or excuse. But listen, thanks for those asking questions in the chat. Falcon Mike 84. I know he's talked about coming to the show before, so we'll hopefully get you on. But you know what we want to do is just do a quick roundup, really, updates within the PGS world. We talked a lot about support needed last week in the show. We talked about the great work that the admins are doing. But one of the things, and this is just this is something that I've been asked to say, is one of the things that I think that is it's very important, and there's no negotiation. Is respect, particularly amongst admins. You know, we're all colleagues, so there's no reason to be disrespectful amongst your colleagues with your colleagues. So that's something that it's been asked for me to say, but also as well as managers of clubs and as some of the senior players, you know, it's always good to help and support our admins. We expect to play a game on a Saturday, for instance. We record our stats, or we don't record our stats, but then we record our stats 2 days later, but then expect our stats to showcase on the leaderboard. That's not really fair. So I know there are rules about recording stats. Try and make our admins' jobs a lot easier than they really are, because at the moment it's proving to be quite difficult. The platform is growing on a daily basis, which means that we are getting a myriad of different people from different walks of life coming into the platform. So there will be issues, temporary issues per se. Also, with regards to the app, I know there's been an update on the app as well. So if you haven't updated the app, please do so straight away. Hopefully, you're able to fix some of the bugs that you've been experiencing. But outside of that, that's pretty much it, really. I think, Cozy, I think it's fair to say within the server, listen, none of us are white and white here. I'm sure we've all committed a few skullduggeries within servers, but ultimately, especially with the admins, it's very important to remain supportive of the work they do, because they do it for free, and it's their time. So that's what I'll say. And while I'm doing that, shout out to Vincent, best admin in the world. I do that every time. But also, it was his birthday over the weekend. So happy birthday, mate. I hope you had a good one. Cozy, so a little birdie tells me you're returning to the pro clubs scene.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, you've been asking me for weeks. And I joined the server back, and I was like, yeah, I'll play. And then, obviously, I've put my name down to play a couple of times, but where my availability isn't as good as others, and keeping the team...
Yeah, your ability is whack.
But also, consistency in a team is very important. I think we can both agree on that. And today I get my chance, and I have to be totally honest, I've not played a single game of PS4 Pro Club, so we are definitely going to be getting on for some games straight after the podcast.
Do you know what? Please do make sure, though, that we haven't stolen you or anything like that. So if you've got a contract with anyone else, make sure that that's sorted.
Of course, because unless you have PGS Premium, you can't release yourself. So
it's just light banner. But right, so we are supposed to be having roundups of all our leagues, and to be honest with you, at this moment in time, we're not going to do that for this particular show. But because our show's changed for the days, I think we've got instead of Sundays, it's going to be Thursdays now. We'll come back to you on timings, but Cozy will put an advert out as well. So what we'll do is we'll wait until our midweek show and give you all the rundowns of the leagues. But what I do know is that a lot of those leagues are hotting up. I mean, we read out the stats last week for most of the leagues. We'll be reading out. I think there's 5 or 6 major leagues that we will pay attention to, which is team of the weeks, etc. So that's pretty much it from me. But in terms of updates from the PGS, like I said, Cozy, you've got all these tourneys. Actually, you've had a busy week with tourneys.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about the foot tourneys.
Well, it all started on Monday. As you know, a week starts on Monday. But Monday is a big night for us. It is normally it's a PS5 tournament, and I get around 32 people playing. But this week, no. I had the PGS Content Creators Cup with 16 incredible people. And, well, actually, I'm going to say 15 because I did take part myself. And it'd be a bit arrogant to say that about myself. But I didn't. I went out in the groups, man. I'm awful at FIFA, but I just enjoy it. No, we had some really cool people involved. We had Talando on, who has the best footwork in the FIFA scene that you will ever see. And by that, it is nearly a pun, but it's also real. He plays FIFA with his feet. So he. Oh wow! Okay. Let's get him on the show. He has agreed to come on the show in the future, so that will be when we do some like foot focus shows. He'll be coming on and talking to us about his experiences, how he taught himself to do that. And maybe we can even get out of him his custom tactics. But that was a really cool tournament. The overall reach of that tournament, with all of us streaming, I think it hit around 10,000 people live, which is insane. And then that's not including all the views that went on afterwards. Obviously on Twitch and YouTube, you get the VODs that people can watch back. But yeah, it was a really cool tournament. And then we moved on to Tuesday. I had the Foot and Chill tournament. We did an old gen tournament. First one I've done since I've been back. It went down really well, so we're actually doing another one this Tuesday. And then, yeah, that was... And then we did a Saturday tournament. I did a quick fire tournament last night. 16 players, 1,600 FIFA points, and I went out first round again. So... But there's some really cool things coming up, as we mentioned earlier in the show. The All-Female Cup number 3 will be on the 3rd of March, which is kind of cool. Number 3, 3rd, you know. And there will be another Content Creators Cup in the future. I'm not sure as to when that'll be yet. I'm finalising some details, looking at how we could improve it and things like that. So if anyone's got any feedback on these tournaments, you know, speak to me. It's all down to me how things move forward with them. I'm trusted with that, and all I have to do is go to the owners and say, you know, we've got this idea, and they say, as long as you can make it work, then go for it. So it's really cool situation. There's some really big things in the pipeline. So keep an eye on socials, especially the PGS main Twitter account, and we'll also retweet from the podcast account as well.
Yeah, I'm actually chomping at the bit for a particular event that I want to talk about, but I can't, and it's really getting on my nerves. But yeah, I won't. So what I'm going to do, I want to do a big shout out quickly to Team Spirit. So that's Speedy and Vincent's team that I helped play for on Wednesday night. Doing quite well. We had a good week last week. Also, my team Harpooned. You know, shout out to all the players there. Obviously, Billy, some newbies, all the females in the server as well. And a massive shout out to all the teams in all the leagues. Now, all managers who turn up ready to play on time, you're respectful, just do their thing, and GG's and goodbye. Respect to you, shout out to you. All the teams and the players that actually turn up on time, no defaults, you know, teams that turn up on a waiting list and come through. So all of these things are very, very helpful because it ensures for a smoothly run platform. So we want to thank you guys for continuing your big work. I do want to shout out a few teams that are very good at this. Black Cats, very, very good at this. Very, very, very good team. And also, it's no surprise they're actually very good on the pitch, as well as very, very good off it. So a shout out to them. I'd like to get one of their managers on the show at some point. Sorry, that'll be good. Also, I put out an advert in the podcast server. If you're not in the podcast server, you'd like to be, please just DM myself or Cozy. We'll get you in there. But I'm calling out all managers and admins to DM me, have a chat with me, because there are a lot of things going on the platform on a daily basis, and we'd like to get your thoughts on what these things are, how we can change certain things, what you'd like us to talk about on air, and how you'd like to get a message out there as well. So please get in touch. Cozy, I think that's about it from me. Have you got anything else you want to update our audience on?
No, I think that's pretty much it. All I'd say is, if you're not following us already, do go and check us out at PGS Podcast on Twitter, and all the live updates happen there. And at the moment, we're doing like a little series where once a week we're posting out a previous show that we really thought captured something really cool. The last one I posted was the interview with Zoe, which was really cool. And the one I've selected for this week, you'll like it. So just watch out for that in the next couple of days.
Yeah. So Lisa, thank you so much for coming on. Your words were definitely heartfelt, because I do believe that a change is coming, but we need more females to come in and do the same thing you've done. So we'll be watching your success. Good luck to you. Get well soon. Anyone playing games tonight, PGS Sunday League, good luck. Cozy, I'll see you on the other side. Take care.